So, welcome to the tutorial or the walkthrough of the repair process of this model. It's from Xiaomi, an S50 vacuum cleaner. This has a strange symptom that it's just driving to the base and trying to charge, but actually it does not really charge. So maybe I can just show you the symptom if I find the docking station. Yeah, here we go. I just booted up. Don't worry, it's speaking German. So at least I'm able to understand it. Okay. I think it's done, so it's just driving to the docking station. Burp. Then it's trying to charge, and after a couple of seconds or minutes it's just driving away and trying it again, and this is a loop forever. And then at some point of time it will just say, okay, I'm unable to charge, and it says error 13. So we just give it a second. So this was about 2 minutes of waiting. So this is going back and forth all the time, so we can just stop it now. This behavior may have different root causes. One of those is the simplest one. So for example, it can just be I don't know the right word for that, but it's if those pads are dirty and they does not allow the robot to charge, it will do the same things because just the robot detects that it's unable to charge, but the robot itself does not know the root cause of that. So the only assumption is of course not a hardware failure, so they say, okay, please clean up the pads on the pads of the base station. But this is in this robot, it's not the case. So you can just see these pads are clean, and those contacts are clean as well. So the next thing to do or to check is if the voltages on the docking station are properly. This can be done with a multimeter. Just set it to measure voltage, and what we expect from the unloaded charging station is a voltage somewhere around 4.3 plus minus 1 to 2 volts without the robot on the docking station. So we can just try and measure this, and it's 4.16, so the docking station seems to be okay. And the other voltage we should measure is the voltage with the robot on the station. So since this is pretty heavy task, so if the robot stands here, these pads are obviously not accessible anymore. So I just made something with aluminium foil, like MacGyver. So I just build up those connectors. I just place them on the docking station to measure the voltage between the docking station and the robot. I have 2 of those. Just locate them here. Whatever you do, you should not, explicitly not, cross or connect those 2 lines. I don't know what's going to happen, but actually, so since it's a Chinese product, I'm not aware of if they try to avoid some bad things happening if you just connect those 2 lines, but I'm not sure, so just don't connect them. So as we see, we have already the goal voltage of 4.16, and if we just place the robot on the docking station, we should see something around 20 plus minus 2 volts, so we'll see. Here we go. Yeah. So as the robot is off, it doesn't say anything, but it's 19.52. This is obviously totally okay. So the docking station is okay, and the connection is also okay, it's clean, so it must be something else, and as I'm telling you this, I already fixed some robots with this fault. It's the fuse. It's inside on the mainboard. So now we have to disassemble the whole robot, the whole thing, to be able to change the fuse. So this is a fuse we are going to install inside. It's a PTC fuse, rated with just let me lie, I think it's 3 amps, and the original one has 1.65 or 8, I think it's 1.65 amps, but I decided to install a stronger one. Yeah, so the components behind seem to be capable of just handle more, but I hope that the bigger fuse just does not break that fast as the original one. Okay, so this is done. We just shut off the robot again. Another thing to check is if the battery is okay. I know for this robot the battery is okay, but I will also show you that. So dock is excluded, and the connections on the surface of the robot is excluded as well as a root cause of this failure. So I'll just plug everything off again. So here we go. So on the bottom side of the robot you see this fancy plate. This is a base cover. Yeah, so we just have to unscrew all the screws you see here. I begin at first with this brush, with the side brush. It's pretty simple, it's just a screw in the middle. And I like to just leave all the screws in place. So there's no way to mess it up anyway, because I just leave the screws where they belong to. So all the screws on the bottom plate needs to be unscrewed in order to remove it and to see the, well, let's see, first level, inside level of this. Yeah, while I'm unscrewing, I can just tell you I'm not a native English, so English is not my first language. Please forgive me all the wrong pronunciation or wrong vocabulary, whatever. So I just give my best. So this video should just show how to solve this issue. And I think even though you would not be able to understand it, or even if you are not able to understand what I'm saying, you can just see the footage and see what is to do. So here we see the battery. I just can plug it off. So there's a clip, you need to plug it in, the clip, in order to remove it, otherwise you will just break something. Yeah, but this is a battery. Again, if we measure that, please do not connect any of the wires. I don't know what's happening or what will be happening if you do that, but I know it's not the desired behavior, or not the desired thing you want to do with a battery. So what we expect on the battery is written 14.4 voltage of the voltage if it's empty, and 16.8 if it's fully charged. So we will just measure something in between. So I expect if it's fully drained, I expect something around 13.5 volts. We'll see. So it's 15.01, so it's, you know, let's say 50% or something. So it seems to be fully okay. So I'll just continue with the disassembly of the robot in order to fix it. So the robot itself is fully modular built, so you can just remove each module by its own. For example, if you want to disassemble or to remove this case, you can just do this by the 4 screws here, 2 above and 2 on the side. I try to do it that you are able to see which screws I mean. And this one. But I think if you just have it open, you will see all the screws. So all the screws you are able to see need to be removed. And on some modules, if you remove the module, you see next screws. So it's a multi-level disassembly. So here we go. Just need to get this. Come on. Okay. Here we go. So as you see, there are new screws on the inside. But anyway, so I'll just continue with the big obvious module. So next I will just disassemble the side brush motor. It's fixed with 3 screws, so no need to disassemble the case. Those are just 3 screws, not 5. You can see 5, but yeah, as you see, it's 3 in triangle. Okay, so next one is the wheels. They are somehow strange to see because they are also fixed with 3 screws, 2 above, and 1 is very hard to see, but it's there. It's here. I can just show it. So it's on the left or the outer side of the robot. I can just show you the screw if I just unmounted it. So by wobbling it left and right and left and right, you can just remove it. Oh, it's pretty dirty, this robot, right? So as you see, it's here. This is a screw. 3 of them. So just place it somewhere on the desk. Next one. Again, this wheel has also 3 screws. And the one hard to see is on the outer side of the robot. Oops. There we go. Now whatever. Just wobble it around and replace all the screws where they belong to. Okay. So now we see a lot of other screws. Yeah, so I'll just start and remove all of them. There are some screws, at least at this level there's 1 screw which is very hard to see because the clever guys at Xiaomi placed a white card on the screw. I'll show you this screw in a second. The same is on the upper side of the robot. But yeah, so if you are in the next step and you need force, don't apply force. So the whole thing is just assembled in a way that you are able to remove all components without force. Okay, so no need to destroy things here, otherwise you will break something. On one point we need force, of course, so I just forgot that. The top plate needs some force, but yeah, you will see why in a second. So just go over all screws, and I think all the screws you have now visible to see are the same size. So I will remove them later, because if we just turn around the robot later, they will fall away anyway. But this is really one of the rare cases where we remove the screws. This makes it also easier to see if you just forgot a screw, which happens pretty often. So I think I had just one robot disassembled without forgetting a screw. So, but you will see it. If you are not able to open the case, you just forgot one screw. Screw, yeah, whatever. So, I love magnetic screwdriver, but this one does not want to come off. We'll see. So please come out. Yeah, here we go. So you also need to disassemble the front bumper, but I'll just do it step by step. The front bumper will be the last thing. Is it already removed? Yay! No. So I'm just going over and looking in each hole if I missed a screw. Okay, here's one more. So, and the funny thing is that they just placed, I don't know if it's a warranty card or something like that, but they placed a sticker on the one screw behind the battery. So this is the battery area where the battery goes to. And as you may or may not see, this here is a screw as well. So it's white cover, and if I unscrew this for the first time, they will obviously see that it got unscrewed at least once. But so I'm the one. Here we go. But all the screws are the same, so no need to take care of. So all the screws on this side are the same. So the top plate on the bottom has different things. So as you may see, I don't know if it's visible enough. Oh, see here. Yeah, you see it's a white cover, so it's hardly to see. But now you know where to go to, where to look at. Okay, but I think I just got all the other screws. Okay, so now I'll just continue with the front bumper and just take another screwdriver for that, because it's you can or you cannot, or there's no need to unscrew the whole plate. But the last time I did it on video, it just took me a long time to remove the front bumper without unscrewing it totally. So now I'll just do that because it's simpler. But actually, it's not necessary to unscrew all screws of the front bumper. Just give them yeah, 3 to 4 millimeters to move, and then you are able to remove the bumper. And as we remove the bumper, we can just turn it around. But we'll do that in a second, or in a minute, we'll see. Okay, so here we go. Front bumper removed. I'll just place it somewhere else, in the hope that the screws are not falling around. So, this was the front bumper, and now we can just turn the whole thing around. I just verify again that I did not miss a screw. Saves a lot of time in the later process. So, now on the top side. The top side is pretty hard, because here, this is the only part where we need really force. So we have this expandable clap, where all the pieces and bits and pieces are located, that for example this dustbin or this utility. But the funny thing is, you don't see any screws, so apart from these things, but we come to that later. So you don't see any screws because this piece, the front piece with the buttons on them, this needs to be removed with force. Yeah, so don't worry, you have to start in one point and just separate them. So if you just look on this side, this is somewhat flexible, but you need to apply force. But just work around, don't apply too much force. It feels, if you break anything anyway, so you cannot change that. It feels pretty strange on this expensive robot, even though it's not that expensive, but you don't want to break anything. And it sounds as if you were breaking something, but actually you are not. So just go along, apply some force. If you have some tools, some plastic cards or something like that, work with them. There's no metallic things. So I just removed it successfully without breaking anything, obviously. Yes. And here you see the root of the evil, those clips. So they go just in these holes, and they are pretty strong. So the first time you remove this top plate is pretty tough. The next times, if you may have to replace a fuse again, it's easier, but the first time is pretty tough, because it's pretty strong, those things. Okay, but we did it. Now we can just remove the top part. So the screws on the top are smaller than those on the bottom. I think so. We'll see. So I start with the screws of this mechanism which holds the door, the trap, I don't know, this thing in place. I just remove all of them. Those are 3 screws per side. You can see that. So my camera is crappy, but I hope that the image quality is enough to see where I'm working at the moment. Okay, here we go. Just get it out. Perfect. This was the first one. This is the second one. Just get out. Perfect. Okay. Now we can just remove this cover as well. Okay, now we come to the fun part. This is a lighter, and we need at first to remove the plastic jelly flexible caps from the screws on the 3 screws on the bottom side, because if we remove them we'll see another screws, and those screws are special. They have a bigger head, because the whole metal cover of the robot is a button. Actually, I don't know where it's for, what's the purpose of the thing, but or of the button. Maybe it's for detecting if it drives under an obstacle, but I don't know. So those are bigger. Just place them somewhere in a special place on your desk. And now we see again one of those white plates on the screw. So again we need to be the first one to obstruct or to destroy this seal. If it's a seal, I don't know. Okay, but we did it finally. So this is a lighter. We need to unscrew this as well. Those are 4 screws again. So yeah, in general it's pretty simple. You just need to remove all the screws you are able to see on the lighter. So please try to not touch this fancy orange thing. Just try to touch the black case. So it's one of the more expensive things, so I don't want to destroy anything. Just try to not touch it. I don't know if it breaks anything or if it's that fragile, but yeah, try to avoid it. Okay, so if we did everything right, we can now easily remove this top part. Yay! I did not miss a screw. Perfect. So here we go. This is the heart of the whole robot. We see the fuse. Hopefully you see it as well. This one is the fuse. And as I said, it was rated for 1.85 amps. Yeah, so this needs to be removed or replaced, so to say. Okay, so there's some plastic coating on the whole motherboard. This needs to be removed on the area where we want to solder the fuse, or to unsolder the fuse. It can just be scraped off, so no need to worry about that. You can easily scrap this off. Otherwise, if you try to solder, it will just smell disgustingly. It's not the best thing to get into your nose. If you have some plastic things, you can also scrape it off with plastic. I think it's better than with a screwdriver, because I will just make scratches all over the PCB, but yeah, just need to get it off. So now we have this fancy brush. If I find it, where is it? Here we go. It's perfectly, because it was just in the bundle. Get all the things off. Okay, so next thing is to solder this fuse. I'm very badly prepared, so I should have make my sponge wet for soldering. But anyway, so this fuse needs to get off. I'll be just back in a second with a wet. So here I'm back again with a wet sponge for soldering. I just heat up my solder iron to 400 degrees. Yeah, so I tried it with 300, but it was not enough, so I just yeah, could not get this thing off. If you have a hot air gun, just use that. I think it's a better way. I have one as well, but I want to try to show you how it works with the regular solder iron, because I think most of you just have the solder iron at home. Soldering iron? I don't know. I hope that you know what I mean. One thing to do before is, just because of my personal interest, to measure the resistance of this fuse. So it's 0.8. It's too high. So I had some with lower resistance that are broken. I had one with higher resistance, but this is too high. It needs to be. I have never measured a working one, because I don't want to disassemble a working robot. But it should be somewhere, yeah, at 0.2 or 1. I don't know. But this is too high. I had already some with 1.5 ohms, but yeah, it's just a quick test that this is the real deal to replace this one. Okay, so I'll try to get you closer and hopefully I don't I get it a sharp image, otherwise you will just see from top and you won't see anything. So I'll just replace or place the camera somewhere else. So even though I am not aware, or I don't know if you can see this on a sharp way, but I think it's better to see something than see nothing. So this is a fuse, a close-up, possibly not very sharp, but I just try to get again all the plastic off the fuse. Just try to remove that, and everything is floating around here. Okay, so now we see the fuse. My soldering iron is prepared to heat up to 400 degrees. Possibly I need to go higher, but I'll just try it first with this heat. So here we go, and I hope that I'm able to solder it, because the camera is quite in my way, but we'll see. So at first I just apply some heat on both sides and apply some new flux. Okay, here we go. Bottom side as well, because the major thing is to get it heated up on the connection to the PCB. So the fuse itself does not need to get high temperature, but yeah, the bonding of the PCB is pretty strong. So I'll just try to get it off with my small utility, if I just find it. Here we go, I just found it, but I don't know the translation, but it's a tool, you all know this one. So I just try to heat it up on one side, the whole thing, and try to get it, the fuse to get behind or beyond the fuse, in order to lift it up a bit. In general, this will come up on, come off the board in pieces. So I'll destroy the fuse as I try to remove it. But this is basically how it works. So I've never managed to get it up in one piece. So if I get another robot, I will just for replacement, I'll just try it with a hot air gun, and we'll see. But I don't think that I'll just make another walkthrough process, because the camera is just in my way all the time. So, but this is the first piece. So the top layer is separated. Now the next thing is to get the middle thing off, or the whole bottom thing, it will work. But so yeah, so don't hesitate too much. No, don't be too fast. So take your time. There's no need to destroy the printed board circuit, the PCB, because if you apply too much force, you will just destroy the main board, and then you will have to replace it as well. And this is basically not what we want. I mean, so you just have already separated the robot, so the main board separation, or the main board replacement would be an easy thing to do, but it's unnecessary. No need to apply too much force. So okay, so this is the middle piece. It's somehow a soft piece, and now I'll try to apply pretty much heat on the contact of the fuse, and I already see it coming off. Perfect on one side, and now I'll just get it off on the other side. Come off. So as I said, don't be too yeah, take your time. Okay, so here we go. It's separated as well. So since this is very hot, I think I will just play it beyond. Okay, so now you see the dirty pads. We have to clean them up. This is I think it's not really necessary, but I hate dirty PCBs, so for me it's necessary to clean them up. Okay, here we go. For this reason I take some solder wick, remove the used part. Here we go. Yeah, just if you don't know what I'm doing right now, maybe you should read how to solder a tutorial. I'll not explain it. So this just this is just used to get rid of all the old used solder, or at least of the solder I just applied, to get everything clean again before placing the new fuse on the board. Okay, here we go, next one. You may also have an unsoldering pump or something else, so there are many ways to get rid of the used solder. Okay, I think there's no more flux, and this is why it's not getting into the wick. But anyway, looks much better than before. I could just apply some flux because I have it already again here, but I'll just get new flux from a fresh soldering. Here we go. Don't do that. Don't apply force. Okay, once more. Just, it's too tight, the wick. It's brand new from China as well, but it's too tight, so no way for the flux or for the solder to go into the wick. So now it's much better. Here we go. Oop. Okay. Yep. Here we go. Okay, so if you have some made some bridges or something else, now it's the time to remove them again. I'll just remove all the remaining flux because it looks just crappy. Get all of the coating. So get everything clean again. So I don't want to remove the coating, I just want to remove the flux of the top level of the coating. I think it worked pretty well. So next thing to do is to verify that we did not do any bad things like bridges. So we have just to measure the continuity between those pads. Should be 0, basically. So one thing is, first thing is, should not beep. So if I connect them, it beeps. It's set to continuity. I don't know if it helps. Some of you know, whatever. So measure the continuity. Does not beep. Perfect. Now I measure if this pad near of the screw is connected to the plus of the pad. This is perfect, and the lower one should be connected to the diode next to it. Okay, but there's coating again. Yeah, okay, perfect. Like a charm. So next thing to do is to place the new fuse on the main board. In order to do that, so as you may see, maybe it's unsharp, so but I'll just describe what I see. So here's a screw. You should be aware of having the screw not blocking your fuse, because if you may have to remove the whole mainboard, you should just not be forced to remove the fuse you position over here. So, and then the other thing is, if you just place it like this, you won't be able to get the top plate to the whole thing. So what I do is to just bend this fuse from this to, just give me a second. To that. So now we have the legs shortened up. Not shortened up, they are just bended in another way, but this is not perfectly done. I think they're too close. Yeah, they're too close, so I'll just make it again. Okay. No need to cry. Otherwise it would be pretty hard to solder it on the main board. Okay. So here we go. This one perfectly done. Okay, so it should be placed here without having contact to any other things, just to be sure. But it works perfectly. It stays alone without contact to any other thing on the mainboard. I just need to reorient the forwards to be perfectly aligned to the pad. Seems perfect. A bit more separation between those, and then we are fine to go. Good to go is the right word, right? Okay, perfect. Works like a charm. So first thing to do, we apply some solder to the contacts of the fuse. Not too much. Oh, works perfect. Next one. Perfect. And now we just apply fresh solder and flux to the contacts. Now we just have to place the fuse on the mainboard again. Just heat up the contacts and then drop it in. So no need to force something here as well. So take your time, make it neat. Okay. And you should, if you do it in the way I just did it, you should, or I'm just doing it, you should change between left and right in order to get it soldered without any force. So the whole fuse should not have any, yeah, so it should be pretty heavy in, but not without any internal force. This is not a good thing. We don't want to get force on the mainboard. So here we go. So now we just finish this up with some fresh. Not the best thing I did ever, but it works. Okay, perfect. Okay. So just another short check if we messed anything up. Just verify that there's no bridge. No, but there's a fuse. Don't worry. I can just measure the resistance, and there is some resistance. Yep, 0.2. And if we take this fuse as a reference, it's 0.2 as well. So perfectly done. Okay, so I'll just, in order to continue with the assembly of the whole robot, I'll just place you on another place so that you can just follow up the whole process in reverse. So, being back on your position, I just want to mention that I just did the whole soldering process once more without the camera. So I unsoldered the fuse again, and one quick tip if you are doing this at home, please apply only the solder from one side. Then place the fuse on this side, heat the solder up, connect all the things, so solder the fuse on one side, and then you can easily just apply the solder on the other side. So I just did at first, so I applied solder to the side on the screw side at first, placed the fuse on top, just applied some heat, pressed it in perfectly, and then on the other side just apply the solder from yeah, your reservoir of solder. So this works perfectly, so no need to readjust left and right and left and right. This just worked out beautifully. So if you just see, it's perfectly aligned and everything is pretty fine, because you have no need to change between left and right. So just a new thing I learned today, even though it's logical. So now the whole thing just in a replay for rebuilding this robot. So the things, or yeah, so I don't reassemble all the things. I just apply the necessary things and just screw them in pretty loose, because I just want to try out first if the fix really worked. So I'll just do it very rough. So I'll just, yeah, so when you just replace the top cover, please have a look for the filter on the back side. You don't want to get it loosened and take out all the particles of dust. Okay, so just re-indent all the things. I will of course mount the LDS in and the case. So the top side I'll just do all the things that can be easily removed again. Yeah, because I want to be able to turn the robot over and the LDS should be covered, so I'll also remount this protection for the LDS. Oh. Just remember, the small screws go to the top. They are less long. Oh, I just heard something was loose. Okay, so just compare. If you just go in the reverse, on the metal thing, those two screws are pretty short in comparison to the screws on the bottom side. Just compare them, long, short. The other thing is 3 screws with a very big head go to the 3 bigger holes on the metal part, just in case you got messy with the screws. Okay, and then the bigger ones as well. So that's it basically from the top part. All the other things will just go in as I rebuild the whole thing, if I verify that it's probably working. Another small hint: if you screw these screws in again, please don't tighten them too much. Just go as far as it goes, and if it gets harder, stop. No need to apply too much force, otherwise you will just damage the plastic profile. So everything's plastic here. There's no metal apart from the screws, but the counter side is really just plastic. Don't break it. I'll just place these plastic things because otherwise I'm going to forget them in the mounting process. But that's it from the top side. No need to make more screws. Okay, so the bottom side, same thing here, but I'm not going to attach many things. So I'll just place in the most. I don't know if there are any hardware checks if the wheels turn around, but I don't want to get some faults, so I just apply or just re-insert all the things that are necessary, and of course I will mount all screws that got that will be hidden if I just mount the part. So for example, if I mount this in, I also screw in the screw which is behind this thing. Otherwise I would have to unscrew this module, and it's more work. But apart from that, I'm just installing the necessary things, because I'm pretty sure that this fixed the problem. Otherwise you may just try it without any of the modules installed apart from the battery. But yeah, here we go. There's a screw. I think this is not hiding anything. Just press it in firmly, so you will see that there's some resistance in the beginning, and if you just press it in, everything should be fixed, but not too hard. So as you see on this wheel, if I just drop it in, I have to apply some force to get it sitting on the proper position. But you will see these things, the border here needs to be flush. so there should be no difference in height. Okay. So I'll just mount the white plated screw on the position where it came from. I think it was here. Maybe it was somewhere else. You will see in the video. Okay. So here we have again some screws that are going to be hidden if you just reinstall all the things. So, nothing more. So don't apply any force. It should go in pretty easy. So, whoa. So here we go. Just install the battery. This is the last remaining thing, and then we'll just build some kind of security dock. Because if I install this on the or if I just place it in a loose position here on the desk on the docking station, and it will drive back and forth all the time. So I do not plan to stay here while this is charging. I'll just build some construct where the wheels are in the air in order to prevent the robot from falling down. Just to be sure that I do not mess up with the spot. So this is a docking station. And we need to see the LEDs, so we need to place it this way. And now I have to build something. I use these beautiful boxes. I can just recommend you buying this S20 power plug. They are perfect for home automation. Just let me know if you want to see more videos about this, because my whole flat is smart. Okay, so here we go. This one. Okay. So I'll just place the whole thing on the docking station. Now it's booting up, hopefully, if we did not mess anything. So, can we see that? No, it's not booting up. Okay, now it's booting up. See the LED, and I'll just place a timer here in order to see how long it took for the whole thing to get charged.
LED.
Charging, perfect. So we'll see if it tries to drive back and forth, but actually I don't think so. So just see you in a second. So here we are back again. After 1 hour, so it's slightly under 1 hour, the charging progress just stopped. So we can now continue to just assemble the whole robot together again. So what I do first is just well, it can just it can just keep being on. I don't care about that actually. here we go. The remaining things are pretty simple and straightforward, but anyway, you can just stick here in this video. I'll try to just assemble it totally together again. So all the remaining things are just bringing all the screws from the back side back in place. It's pretty simple, so all the holes need to be filled with screws. You'll see the big screws are not to be filled. So for example, this 3 screws are not to be filled. Yeah, I think this one and this one also, and this one not, and this one not. So you'll see. So all those deep holes need to be filled with screws. But if you are unsure, you can just have a look at the base plate for the cover of this, and every location where one screw is, no small screw belongs in. Another thing is that the screws from the base plate are bigger, so if I just try to screw this small screw inside here, it will not have any grip, so it will just fall into the hole. So with a bit patience and a bit care, you cannot do anything wrong here. So this is just, yeah, repeating the same steps, just screwing and screwing and screwing. Okay. As this is done, I'll just continue with the bumper. It's pretty simple as well. So yeah, it's just the same at what you did on the disassembly, but just vice versa. So everything is just in the wrong opposite order. Okay. Looks good. I don't think that I missed a screw. So remember, please do not tighten the screws too strong. So yeah, otherwise you will break the connection, so you won't get any grip in the plastic body anymore. So just go over it and search for the empty hole. This one, perfect. So the next thing to do is well, now we'll see a bit better. Next thing to do is to reinstall the bumper. Here's very important that you will have this hole. This should be in the front, of course, and the yeah, this bigger thing should be on the bottom, so on the side where the wheels are. I think apart from that there's nothing you can do wrong, so just reinstall it very carefully. I try to lock it in on the bottom side first, and then I try to hook it up to the front side. So just by lifting this piece over, and then if you just tighten left and bottom and top part together, you can easily see if everything is, yeah, easy to move. So you see those hooks here on this side and here, they have special areas where they are allowed to move in, and they should be located at this area. But it's pretty simple, so you'll see it. So either you install it properly and correctly and then everything is free to move, or you do it wrong and then you will see it by not being able to put it around very easily. Yeah, so just as I did here. So here we go. Okay. Yeah, so maybe I should just start on the other side by tightening the screw. So yeah, as you look, it looks like, yeah, very easily moving forward and backward, and this is the thing how this bumper works. So here we go. One more screw to go. So, perfect. Everything is easily movable. Looks like, yeah, looks very fine. Cool. So next thing to do is to install the cover plate, so the base plate. Here we go. If we did everything properly, then we don't have any screw that is uninstallable anymore. So we can just easily plug it over the bottom side and just begin screwing again. So, as you know, or as you have seen, I installed the metal cover on the LDS, on the orange thing on the top part. Yeah, so this work would be much more complicated if you just left the metal part off. So without the metal part you should not turn your robot around, as I just did, because this will damage the LDS. So don't overscrew. I don't know if this is a proper translation, but don't apply too much force. They should be all fixed, but not too tightly. Okay, so perfect. The next thing which is remaining is to install the brush. So the bottom side is completely done after this step. Perfect. Now I can just turn it around, and now I can install this side of the cover. It's pretty simple. As I said, straightforward. Just place it here. I think those are symmetrical, so no need to worry which side is which side. They are fully symmetrical. So you can just exchange them if you want. So here we go. And the last 3 screws. So, perfect. Done. Now we can just install all these gimmicks here. Perfect. Reinstall the top plate. Yeah, maybe you should just go over it to get the dirt out of this area. But I think I can just reinstall this. So plug it up, or put this coverable side, this movable side up to get to the right proper position, and then you will see. So it just fits on one position. There's no way that you can do that wrong. And then just work your way to the other side from one way until everything is in position again. Yeah, so here we see everything is realigned pretty much perfect. Perfect. So here we go. This one is good to go, ready to go. Yeah, short disclaimer. So if you see something that I did wrong, or there's a better way to do some things, just go along, comment this in the comment section, and this will help the other guys who have this process of repairing not finished yet to do it more efficiently or better or whatever. Yeah, so if you like the video, just give it a like, and yeah, see ya next time.